this guy Shawn came, and he's, I guess, touring in Europe or something, I don't know. So really anxious to hear what he's got. And it's a nice quiet crowd, so everybody pay attention.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to appreciate your patience. I know it's a little bit of a change-up. You used to hear some people come up with a guitar, kind of bare their soul, and then you get 10 minutes of me doing dick jokes. So, really appreciate your patience. Now, this is my first time playing in Pennsylvania. I'm from New Jersey originally. I don't know if you've ever been there. Our state motto is, you'll get used to that eventually. But there's lots of progress in New Jersey. We're always working on trying to invent new things. Just a couple of weeks ago, we launched a bear patrol, and it was an outstanding success because over 30 bearded gay men were able to get jobs as security guards. Now, we have a lot of interesting things in Jersey. Just last week, we re-elected Tony Soprano as governor. Chris Christie, you may have heard of him. Now, some people I know are like really psychotically into him. They just love him, and I'm just not really that enthused. And you always ask for people like, well, why are you into him? Why are you into him? And they're just like, oh, he's great. He gave great leadership. He told people to get off the beach when that storm was coming. He told people to get off the beach. I'm like, under that logic, David Hasselhoff should be governor of California. But they're just like, no, no, no. There's lots of other things. After the storm hits, he went to lots of areas that were damaged, that were really messed up, and he bravely walked through these damaged areas and toured them. And I'm thinking, you know, I've been to North Philly, I've been to Trenton, and I didn't have reporters with me. I guess I should be governor in this situation. But then, you know, a lot of my friends who are like him, they're always backing him up. They're always saying, but look, he lost all this weight. He lost all this weight. That's a lot of self-discipline. And I'm like, well, he didn't really lose the weight. He got lap band surgery. And bragging about loss of weight from lap band surgery is like bragging about your diploma if you bribe the dean. So it's just pretty crazy, and you hear a lot of things in Jersey. You hear a lot of old sayings. Now, one of the most popular old sayings you ever hear, especially when there's a big company, one of those great large companies like Nike or Apple that's destroying the planet by forcing all their workers to work in slave wages, they're always like, but this is a great company because they started out of the trunk of their car. They started this company out of the trunk of their car. And I've studied a lot of history. And the only people I could ever find who sold things out of the trunk of their car were criminals. You know, it's like, hey, we got Vincenzo Brothers brand slightly worn suits. No questions allowed or answered. I mean, I can't imagine. Is that like how Nike got started? Shit, the Nike Brothers? I don't want to talk about the Nike Brothers. They were horrible. They used to come up behind people, punch them in the head, steal their shoes, and then sell them out of the trunk of their car. You know, they're like Apple. Apple got started in the garage. Oh man, Steve Jobs was horrible. He'd break into NASA, steal stuff, and make bootleg computers. So they're always bragging about these companies. Just completely ridiculous. So we're here at the Triumph in New Hope. Now, I work actually at the Triumph in Princeton, New Jersey. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Princeton, New Jersey. It's a pretty interesting place. We get a lot of interesting things. There's a lot of very well-off people, and there's a lot of very high-end merchandise. Now, a lot of people you'll see in Princeton, they'll go around with Godiva brand chocolate. There's a big Godiva store in Princeton, and it's very popular. Now, I don't know if Lady Godiva's necessarily the best spokesman for your chocolate company. Doesn't inspire me to like chocolate. But I think it's a lot better than the company's original intended name, Pussy on a Horse Chocolate. But you also get to read a lot while I'm working at this job. We get a lot of downtime, and I was reading in the newspaper a couple of days ago, there was this young private, Richard Fitzwell, and he was lost. They couldn't find him. They looked all over this base. They looked all over. They couldn't find him, and finally, they found him in the barracks, and he was masturbating a colonel. And they're just like, Private Fitzwell, what the hell are you doing? Me? I'm pulling rank. Glad somebody got a sense of humor. So, working there, I work the phones, and when you work the phones, there is anybody can call, and I mean just anybody. Like people who are still unaware that the internet exists. So I get this phone call. Ring, ring. Hello? It's Triumph Brewery Princeton. How can I help you today? I have a very unusual question for a restaurant. This is going to be a tedious 5 minutes. Well, you see, a couple of days ago, I was apple picking. And we got a lot of apples. Well, we didn't get a lot of apples. My husband and I, we only picked a few. But he was friends back in the war with the guy who owns the orchard. So we were able to get a bunch of apples. Now, I like apples as much as the next person. But I can't eat more than 2 apples a day. I tried eating more than 2, and then I just got sick. And my husband can get 3, but no more. So I thought we should do something with all these apples. Still hasn't asked a question. When I was thinking, we should make a pie. But then I remembered my husband was diabetic, and I can't go to jail for manslaughter again. So I was thinking apple cider. But then I realized I didn't have an apple press. So I decided to call your restaurant. Have you ever thought of possibly calling an orchard? An orchard! That's a brilliant idea! Which means this woman had not heard of an orchard or Google at any point. But there's so many people that just come in the restaurant. They're just like really like pissed off sometimes. Especially, there was last night, somebody was basically, well, their reservation got lost. They claimed they called it in, they didn't call it in, and the people were just like, let me tell you something. There's been 3 great crimes of the last 30 years. The first was the Rwandan genocide, the second was the collapsing state of Syria that the international community refuses to address, and the third has been me denied a reservation this evening at your restaurant. So, it's pretty good. As she mentioned, I was in Spain a little while ago. I was in Europe and I got to work in Spain. Now everybody always asks, when you're in Spain, when you come back, the first question they always ask, what was your favorite part of Spain? What was the most beautiful part? What was your favorite part of Spain? And I guess my favorite part of Spain is, nobody in Spain would ask a question as stupid as, what's your favorite part of Spain? Everybody in Europe's a lot more low-key. But it wasn't the only place I got to go to. I was very lucky in that I got to travel to the country of Moldova, which luck is varied because it's the poorest country in Europe, but it's still a lot of fun because you can get away with anything there. But to get there, it's not like, you go to most countries, you're just like, oh, we're going to get on an airport, we'll just go to the airport, we'll get on a little plane, we'll just fly across the ocean, we'll land, and everything will be nice. It doesn't work that way you want to get to Moldova. First, you land in the Romanian airport. Now, an important thing you should know about Moldova is it's the country that Romania and the Ukraine make fun of for being poor. So I get there, land in the Bucharest airport, everything seems to be going well, it's got Wi-Fi everywhere, it's a brand new nice airport, everybody's really friendly. And just as I'm about to go, it's about 45 minutes, I'm waiting at my gate, they're just like, "Would Mr. Barron please come to the gates?" Okay, hi, I'm Mr. Barron, here's my passport. It's less like, picks up the phone, is everything okay? Everything's perfectly fine, sir. Here's your ticket. You sure nothing's wrong, sir? Everything's perfectly fine, sir. Nothing wrong at all. So I hand this. About 20 minutes later, I get on board. They hand me my ticket. They're just like, Mr. Barron. I'm like, yes, my name hasn't changed in the last 20 minutes. They lost your luggage, and you're going to have to figure it out in Moldova. So, okay. They're like, now I want you to get on this shuttle bus that we're going to take you to the plane. And I'm thinking, all right, nice little shuttle bus. We'll get on the nice big plane. Now we'll be comfortably in Moldova. They pull up to a prop plane. And I don't mean like this big thing. I mean like a little prop plane. Like I expect to hear someone yelling behind me, Indy, get to the plane! The Nazis are after us! What's really great is Romania and Moldova, they speak the same language. And before World War II, they were the same country. They were split apart. So a lot of people have family members on both sides of the country, both sides of the border. And most people take trains, but every now and then recently they've started improving the plane routes. And what's always hilarious about this is you can immediately find out who's a Romanian and who's a Moldovan, because they'll pull up to the prop plane. Moldovans are like, hey, it's old Proppy, how you doing? Good to see you. The Romanians immediately start doing this, non-stop for the entire flight. It's just this little, basically, form of tinfoil wrapped around a golf cart motor that somehow is up in the air the whole time. I'm really just I don't believe in anything, but I was just trying to think of every prayer that I used to mock, just say, please don't want to crash, please don't want to crash, please don't want to crash. So I managed to get there, and it was pretty interesting. I had dated a girl from there a couple of years ago, and she said something to me that I just never really knew how to respond to. I'm telling about, all the bad dates I had had in Europe, and she looks at me. This is a girl I dated for a year. She's like, Shawn, don't you know you just have horrible taste in women? I mean, I'm no prize. And that was one of those things I just never knew how to respond to. Just completely ridiculous. Well, I want to thank you folks for giving me a couple minutes of your time. Have a good night. I'm Shawn Barron. Thank you.